Hey guys, and welcome to the video. So today, I wanted to test out some different weapons to see how well they do against the Master Mode Dungeon Guardian. And hopefully, by the end of the video, I will have found out which weapons are best to use when I want to get the bone key in my runs. So I'm going to start the video out with a meme and see how long it takes to kill Master Mode Dungeon Guardian with a copper short sword. And in case you guys want to try this out for yourself, I'll make sure to show you how to build this AFK Dungeon Guardian farm at the end of the video. I also want to quickly mention that when farming the Dungeon Guardian, you want to make sure that you have 100% crit chance to maximize your DPS. So if you want to know how to get 100% crit chance, I'd recommend checking out my video from earlier in the week where I showed off how to get the maximum possible crit chance in Terraria. I would also recommend reforging your weapon that you're going to use to farm the Dungeon Guardian to get an additional attack speed boost. But now that we have the strategy out of the way, let's look at the results. As I said, the first weapon that I tested was the copper short sword, and this took a solid 50 minutes and 4 seconds to defeat the Dungeon Guardian. I would definitely not recommend using this method in your runs, but it was pretty funny to see nevertheless. The next slowest weapon that I tested was the Mega Shark, but fortunately this was still a big improvement on the copper short sword, dropping the time down to 25 minutes and 4 seconds. I should also mention that for all the guns that I tested in this video, I used chlorophyte bullets to keep things consistent. Next, I tried out the Starlight, a new sword in 1.4, and although it swings very fast, it still took 16 minutes and 52 seconds to defeat the Dungeon Guardian. The weapon that was the next slowest was the SDMG, clocking a time of 16 minutes and 49 seconds to defeat the Master Mode Dungeon Guardian. And I must say, for an endgame machine gun, the SDMG really didn't do as well as I thought it would. After the SDMG came the chain gun at 16 minutes and 25 seconds. I think out of all of the weapons that I tested, this one shocked me the most. I've always been under the impression that the chain gun was the absolute best weapon out there for the Dungeon Guardian. And although it did do very well, there were still some much faster options that I tested. For example, the laser machine gun, which came next on the list at 12 minutes and 33 seconds. Now I will say that this weapon does have the downside of needing mana potions in order to continuously fire, but these can be bought from the wizard, so this could definitely be a very viable method for defeating the Dungeon Guardian. After the laser machine gun came the Razor Pine, which only took 9 minutes and 45 seconds. Now the Razor Pine does come with the same downside of needing mana potions, but it has an even lower mana consumption rate than the machine gun, so I definitely think it's worth it. And finally, the fastest weapon that I tested was the Zenith, which clocked a very impressive 9 minutes and 17 seconds to defeat the Master Mode Dungeon Guardian. The Zenith also comes with the added bonus of not requiring any mana or ammo. The only downside to this method is that you need to beat the game before you can get your hands on the Zenith. Alright guys, now quickly before I go, I wanted to show you how I built this so that I could AFK farm the Dungeon Guardian. So the very first thing that you want to do is you want to find your dungeon and you want to go down to where you find level surface here. And that is where you want to flatten out and have a platform that you can stand on. Because anytime you go lower than this, you risk spawning the Dungeon Guardian. So then once you're ready, create a chamber below level surface that you can fall into to spawn the Dungeon Guardian. And I will say that it seems that they don't spawn instantly like they used to. I noticed that every once in a while I'd actually have to wait upwards of 1 to 2 minutes before one would spawn, which I find interesting, but I guess that was a change in 1.4. So once you've got your area to spawn them, you're going to want to dig a tunnel so that you can easily get up to the surface, and then you're going to want to head away from the dungeon a little bit. And this is because you need him to track into the middle of these two teleporters, and that's because as soon as you flick this switch, he's going to be stuck in place, so you want him to be stuck in the middle so that you can hit him. So in order to get to building, you're first going to want to place 2 teleporters right next to each other like this. Then you're going to want to encase this in blocks, going up 3 and adding a ceiling. This should be exactly enough for you to stand on top of them. And you're going to completely surround it in blocks. We don't need that one. Next, you're going to want to place a block here and 3 blocks there. And you're going to break the middle block. And you're going to place your target dummy here, and now you're going to hammer these triangles like so. And once you have those hammered, place your pressure plates on top. And now we're going to want to set up wherever our kill chamber is going to be. So I'm just going to put that over here for us for now. You're going to want to place your first teleporter, and then about 10 blocks in between, That's not an exact science, but I find that 10 blocks is a good distance to get him stuck in the middle. Then you're going to want to place your switch for turning it on. This can be anywhere, but I'd recommend that it's reachable from the teleporter here that you're going to want to activate it at. And then we're just going to add a little bit of wiring. So the switch, make sure not to touch these two teleporters. It's just going to go over here, and it's going to hit both of those teleporters, and that's it. And then you're going to take wire from each of these pressure plates, and you're going to run it to each of these two teleporters. Like so. Make sure to cross over both there. And that's it. Now when you flick this switch, it'll move the target dummy's ghost to here, which is then going to hoik back and forth, pressing both of these rapidly, teleporting you back and forth, and holding the Dungeon Guardian in place. So in conclusion, I would say that the chain gun is best if you're trying to defeat the Dungeon Guardian manually, but if you're planning on using the AFK farm that I just showed you, then I would recommend either the Razor Pine or the Zenith, depending on which stage of the game you're currently in. But with that guys, we have reached the end of the video. If you enjoyed, consider subscribing to keep up to date with other videos like this in the future. And other than that, I thank you for watching, and I will see you guys next time.